Hi guys, I'm doing a recap and rewatch of Twin Peaks today, and I'm on to episode 5, which is called Cooper's Dreams, and it's written by Mark Frost and directed by Leslie Linka Glatter. The way Cooper is talking at the beginning of this episode, he seems so uptight almost. He does remind me of that character from Due South. I can't remember the name of the character now. The Mountie from Due South. Very similar. When you say the moon in that opening shot of the episode and you hear the singing over the top, you almost expect it to be like an ancient tribal song, and then you realise that actually it's just a bunch of drunken Icelandic people. So Audrey sort of slides into the scene. She's like it's like a little fox, you know, going in the background. I love the way Audrey slips into the scene, the way she walks. She almost looks like she's dancing. She comes in, she has her eyes firmly fixed on Cooper. Audrey's clearly trying to show off to Agent Cooper, trying to make herself look like an adult by saying that she has a job. And then they talk about, you know, he says, "Why aren't you at school?" And she says, "I can't believe you were ever my age," which brings me to the question, how old is Agent Cooper supposed to be? He doesn't look that old. I would say about maybe 35 at the most. He's not an old agent, you know what I mean? There seems, you know, the way they're talking, it sounds like there is a huge age gap between the two of them. The fact that Agent Cooper asks Audrey how old she is, I think he was sort of testing the water there, like, should I go there or not? You can't beat Jerry for a comedy moment. After his singing and dancing with the Icelandic people in the hotel, he confesses he's in love, and the love token between him and the lady is a leg of lamb. So taking business associates to One-Eyed Jacks is apparently the norm for Ben and Jerry. It's kind of a seedy way of running things. Leland turns up looking pretty disheveled, and Ben tells him he needs to take some time off, and he says, "Why don't you take Sarah somewhere, fly somewhere?" And his response to that is, "I'm afraid to go, I'm afraid," which is a curious sentence to respond to that advice. What is he afraid of? Is he afraid of losing his mind completely? Is he afraid of leaving Maddie? Is he afraid of something else? So they go to Jacques Renault's apartment and find another copy of Flesh World. At this point, Harry is kind of giving off vibes that he's never ever experienced any investigation like this that is as convoluted as this one. He even looks a little bit excited about that. So Bobby and Shelley are getting pretty domestic. You know, she's cooking him breakfast just like she used to do with Leo. And he's basically saying you should not have ever ended up with Leo. It was a huge mistake. You should have stuck in with school. I assume that means they're the same age. I always thought of Shelley as a little bit older, but perhaps she's the same age as Bobby. Bobby's a fast mover. Shelley and Bobby seem pretty suited to one another. They're both, you know, willing to engage in these dangerous plays in order to in order to bring Leo down. They both seem a little bit reckless, a little bit as though they enjoy the thrill of being in a place that's always dangerous, being always on the edge. So Norma and Ed have a discussion about their relationship. This is clearly destined never to go anywhere at the moment. You know, we already know that Nadine is mentally unwell, and Ed seems willing to want to stick by her because of that. And Norma as well, she's also already been manipulated by Hank. She already has given him a get out of jail, you know, card. Norma and Ed's relationships does seem doomed, and it seemed doomed a while ago. Audrey's definitely not afraid to use her sexuality to get what she wants, despite the fact that she is a bit naive in that area. She sort of plays it as if she doesn't understand the power of her own sexuality, and she's not scared of playing dirty. You know, that when she threatens Mr. Emery, the manager of Horn's department store, she comes across as being very like her father. I think it's really sweet that James feels like he can open up to Donna about his life and his family. The information about his family isn't particularly pleasant. He doesn't have a great heritage, but he wants Donna to know the truth about his life so that they can be closer, which is, you know, strengthens this story of the romance between the two of them, and it's really beautiful. I like that they're shown in that sort of outdoor environment where everything's pure and fresh, sort of reflecting back on their relationship status. Donna appears to really trust Madeline at first, but then she has a discussion with her, and it's pretty obvious that she really wants to use Madeline in order to find something about Laura and to try and figure out what happened to her. Pretty hilarious scene with Bobby and his parents at Dr. Jacoby's. Bobby, compared to the parents, they seem like they're on different planets. It's pretty obvious that Bobby has some issues with his father. You know, he challenges his father as soon as he speaks. And he seems to be putting on this act of, you know, I'm tired and I don't want to listen. So Bobby's conversation with Dr. Jacoby feels very real. He is talking about what Laura was thinking and feeling and saying before she died, and you know, it sounds as though she was in such a dark, terrible place that she wanted to be in a world with better people, but that she knew that people were easily corruptible, and so she corrupted them because they could be. You know, Cooper always seems very intuitive, in touch with his own dreams, but when he is confronted with the log lady, he doesn't seem to understand that she might hold some important information on a mystical level, and it's Hawk that encourages them to go into the cabin and to converse with Margaret. She says a lot of weird things, such as, you know, shut your eyes and you'll burst into flame. She almost speaks like, the style of her conversation is almost like a poem or some kind of religious text, you know, it's not really normal dialogue. Fire is the devil hiding like a coward in the smoke. Clearly she says this because of what happened to her husband, but also there is the idea of fire as a symbol of evil. Again, Hawk is the one that reinforces the idea of the woods being filled with spirits. Perhaps the way the log lady comes across as, you know, not mentally stable is the only reason why Cooper discounts it at first, because he has been open so far to everything else, you know, Sarah Palmer's visions and his own dreams, so I don't know why he wouldn't give time to the log lady. And then Cooper obviously realizes that Margaret was a witness to what happened to Laura and Ronette, and that's the only way she can communicate it, through the log. That's a fantastic shot when the men are lined up in the woods, kind of like Mount Rushmore almost. It's very, you know, superhero team sort of thing. Audrey's still on a journey that is exciting to her, and regardless of what she finds out, you know, about her father, about his relationships, about his underhanded dealings, she's still excited by it. Leland's breakdown is pretty horrible to watch. Them having to make it into a comedy, whereas he is actually completely disturbed. It's pretty awful, and Audrey's reaction, I think, is how the audience reaction will be, you know. So the level of double crossing and scheming between characters is a lot like that of a soap opera, kind of like Invitation to Love. So the end of the episode, we see Shelley apparently shoot Leo, and Audrey also turns up in the bed of Agent Cooper after her traumatic experience watching Leland. I believe that Audrey is genuinely upset when she sees Leland at the dance, but at the same time I think she's being a little manipulative. The relationships on the show are definitely just as important as the Laura Palmer murder mystery. It's definitely an exciting place to leave the episode because of the fact that I think who wouldn't be tempted by a girl like Audrey? But at the same time, I think that you would expect Agent Cooper to probably back off if he knew what was good for him, because of the fact that Audrey is so young and so inexperienced in life and with men. The storyline between Donna, James and Madeline is quite interesting to me as well, because you know that they are going to find something that perhaps they are not prepared for, because they are all acting a bit like very naive teenagers, a little like Audrey. Leland was heartbreaking in this episode to see him so devastated over the loss of his daughter, but not know how to deal with it, and to see that everyone else, their lives are just going on. Anyone who didn't really care about Laura deeply, you know, life is just going on, and it just makes you think a lot about life and death and what it means to lose somebody. So that's it for now. Next time I'm going to be watching episode 6 which will be the penultimate episode before the season finale. If you want to keep on following these recaps, you know, you're very welcome to do so. I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel if you want, and you can also like this video and comment below if you have any thoughts about this episode. And until next time, I'll see you. Goodbye.